Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Adobe Live. I'm your host, Alexis Bustos, and I'm here with day 2 with Fergie, the legend. You are a legend in the chat already, Fergie. Hello, everybody who's joining us for this wonderful day 2. Good to see some familiar faces. Let us know where you're joining. We're here with UX designer Fergie, all the way from London. We are across the pond, international stream, and we're very excited. For anybody who is joining us who wants to kind of get their skills honed, remember, we have a daily creative challenge that happens, a replay happens every day at 2 p.m. Make sure to tune in right after the stream. That's awesome. But what we're here for right now is Fergie. And we're going through an awesome project, really recreating your own personal portfolio and taking us along for the journey. I'd love for you to recap what we did yesterday. Can you let us know who you are as well?
Of course. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be back here again for day 2, and we're really going to dive into everything today. So hello to everybody who knows me. I see a few familiar names in the chat. Thank you so much for coming along. And hi to everybody who doesn't know me. I am Fergie, and I'm a UX designer over in London. I do quite a lot of things. So I am a speaker, an educator, a mentor. I've spoken at Adobe Max, speaking again later this year. So look out for some little sneaks along the way. And I also mentor junior designers just in how to kind of navigate their way in their careers. And I also teach UX design and the design process to career changers. So people wanting to move into the design space. I'm on every single social media possible. So feel free to, add me, follow me, reach out, send me a message. I'm always happy to answer all of your wonderful questions and connect and just, generally chat and get to know designers within the community. So let's dive into what we are here for. So what are we going to be creating? Well, we are working on a personal portfolio site. So I have shared yesterday a little bit already around what makes a really great portfolio and how you can structure it properly. So all of the different kind of key aspects of information to include for your viewers that are reading through it, recruiters, hiring managers, potential new clients and customers. So yesterday we went through that introduction. We drew up a sitemap. We created a user flow. And I showed you how to structure a case study, which I'll bring back up on the screen in a second. And we started to wireframe and created that initial sort of home page for our personal site. And today we're going to finish up these wireframes with creating a couple versions for some case studies that I'll put together of my own work today. And we're going to add in a few projects from my Behances from various places and a few different things. So hopefully, this can relate to more people. It's not just my UX projects, it's a few branding things, a few challenges I've done. So you can see sort of what I might do differently from a client piece versus a passion project. We're going to be doing some editing in Photoshop and applying my new branding to this as well, because that is a key reason why I really need a new portfolio and new website, because I have rebranded. And then if we have time, we'll do some simple prototyping too. So
nice. Very excited about this day 2. And you, as you mentioned, you've done some work with Adobe before. 2018, I think, was the year. Can you talk a little bit about that Creative Jam?
Yeah, that was actually one of my first Creative Jams in 2018. Wow. here in London, and in person, you know, very, very different. And
Right.
it was about creating a new, it was an app designed for one of our charities. It's quite a big charity here in the UK called the Prince's Trust, that help disadvantaged kids, but not just kids, kind of up to teens up to the age of, I think, 21, you know, help them with funding schooling or funding projects and things like that, to help them start, if they have business ideas, really get them off the ground. And yeah, we've created a sort of mentorship design for an app. Which was good fun to do that with the team.
Awesome. I just wanted to point that out because there's so much about that yourself and your work that you say. You talk early on about how you mentor a lot, and I love that you really tie in, you know, good design work and good work for other people. And I think that's great. And we do a lot of that here on Adobe Live, a lot of mentorships actually. And I forgot to mention at the top, today we're spotlighting an artist, and that's kind of in the theme of really getting people access to each other and showcasing different types of people, and really using the community to make yourself better and make your portfolio better. And yeah, so about an hour into our, maybe 90 minutes into our stream, we'll be able to check out an artist and kind of get to talk to them and kind of do our own little mentorship on the stream, which I love.
Amazing. Cool. So just to recap for anyone who wasn't here yesterday, this is the sitemap that we had created, and we'd identified a few pages that, you know, we can put together. So obviously a home page where we'll have an intro, maybe a bit of a preview of some of the type of work that you do, and then also contact details. You know, it's really important for people coming to your website. How can they get in touch with you if they like what they see, if they have an opportunity that maybe a role or something you could fill? And then we created a few pages that would be for case studies. And, you know, don't worry about having loads and loads of case studies. You know, 4 is a pretty good number. I wouldn't really do more than 6. And you want to show, you know, a diverse range of projects. So don't show things that are quite repetitive, because somebody might lose interest going through them. And the things we want to call out are, you know, what is the project? So giving it a title, the disciplines and the skills that you've used. So is it a UX project, a UI project, branding? Did you do some research, some testing, kind of using those sort of tags to help people navigate your work to find the case study they'd be interested in seeing? Detailing your role and how long the project took. So shared with you all my secret sauce, which is how I structure my case studies in different sections with some prompts that you can use and go through so that you make sure you're kind of giving across and telling the full story, because case study really is just storytelling what you're capable of. So we're going to do a few of those.
I love that you shared that. It's a really great secret sauce. I feel like I feel like everybody should just take that note down, or maybe screenshot that.
Oh yeah, go for it. Feel free. And then we created a really quick and simple user flow. So what this is similar to the user journey, if anybody's familiar with that, but instead of a sort of step-by-step, it's more of a decision-based process. And what I always try to do with these user flows before I start wireframing is making sure, okay, what is somebody visiting my site typically going to be doing? And how can I ensure that they find what it is that they're looking for, and they don't just kind of drop off or close the browser tab? You know, how do I, as I put it yesterday, I think, like, how do I catch them and sort of like keep them on my website? So we had a few little paths here. So, you know, making sure they can see my intro and they know straight away who I am and exactly what it is that I do. If they do, great. If they don't, then, you know, I'm kind of asking, well, why am I making sure I've worded everything really clearly? Do I want to also then add a sort of about me section instead of just having only an intro? That about you section can like really add just a bit of personality. And then how they're able to find my work. So keeping everything obviously clearly labeled. If they can't find it, then have I called it something mysterious? Did I name my pages in a different sort of, you know, flamboyant way instead of just calling it my work? let's keep it easy for everything. And then, yeah, making sure the case studies are clearly labeled. And this is the home page that we created. I added a few little things because I had a few ideas last night. But we've got an intro up here. So, I'm saying, hey, I'm Fergie. This is what I'm about. This little section I added in because I thought it could be nice to call out maybe some people, some brands that I've worked with. Maybe adding in a little, like a show reel animation,
like that.
Record some videos out of XD of my work and stitch them all together in Premiere Pro or Rush or something, just to be a bit of an attention grabber. And then going into listing a few of these case studies, using tags, giving them a bit of a preview, so they're not kind of clicking into a project, not really knowing what it is, and an about me, and some contact details in a footer. And all of these came from, well, most of it came from the wonderful XD Wireframes kit that you can get by going to File, Get UI Kits, and Wireframes. So yeah, that is what happened yesterday.
And all within XD, really, just from the kit itself to the plugin whiteboards. You really don't need to go anywhere else to do this stuff. It's pretty great. I love the idea of adding a reel of sorts. That would be really cool. Is that something that I don't think I've put a reel. It's something that I'm like, people should do more reels of your work.
Yeah, I definitely haven't done it before. But I know it's something that, folks in film and in animation do. I was like, well, hang on, it'd be kind of cool. I have recordings of prototypes, so why not?
Exactly. Yeah, prototyping is essentially just our own version of animation. It carries a lot of the same practices. Why not show? Yeah. Chat, let us know, if there's any, if you've ever seen anybody do some really cool UX show reels. We may be on to the cutting edge of something here.
You had it here first.
Yeah. Voodoo Val says she's often thought of making a reel. So I'm glad it's there. The ideas are out there.
So where I'm going to kind of pick up from today is starting to map out a few of my case studies. Now I might be, I think, as strict with these wireframes. I think they're going to be more of a loose structure that will kind of flex, because for every project you don't have all of those things that that I detail out here in the secret sauce. For some things I don't have the research or the testing, depending on what it might have been. So it's just about using what you do have and showing as much as possible, and trying to show more than just a render, just the kind of final design.
We talked a little bit about the storytelling aspect of sharing a case study, and you showed us a really great example. But it's super interesting, and chat, again, this is a great opportunity to kind of talk about, like, if you have any questions about what you're showcasing or how, or if you feel like you don't have enough, this is a great time to kind of air it out, like ask some pros. But everybody falls into that. And we talked a little about like showing people and your work. And at the end of the day, if you can tell a story through your work, it doesn't matter if they're a designer, everybody should be able to understand it. And that's the secret. That's actually another part of the secret sauce. Like, that's that extra ingredient, is storytelling, right?
Definitely. It's a really, really important skill, I think, to build as a designer. It's definitely something that kind of took me a long time to be more confident in doing. Definitely, yeah, it's great. So yeah, I'm just going to start kind of putting a few rough things together here.
Very nice, very nice.
We can look at some inspiration.
Nice.
So this was a friend's case study I shared yesterday. So Alfredo is a graphic designer turned UX designer, and this is a good example for anyone who really wants to just look at maybe a project in detail really goes through everything step by step through the sort of cycle of the project, from the research to wireframing to final designs, branding.
And I love how like the branding of this product is also like layered throughout with the beautiful images and keeping consistent with those that use of that purple. Beautiful. It's a beautiful case study.
Yeah, it really is. So this is, gives you an idea, gives everyone an idea of what.
Yeah, and beautiful, important, but also really showcasing what he did, how he got there. If anything, I think it's a little almost too beautiful, right? Like maybe we can sprinkle in some sketches. Right? That's the the only critique of that is that it's so beautiful. But at the end of the day, what tells your story, what showcases your work, how you worked, what part of the process you were a part of. That's something that I feel like a lot of early designers are afraid to say, is that sometimes you don't work. It's okay to not work by yourself. Actually, it's preferred that you showcase how you work with a team. Like no one expects you to be an expert in everything.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something we touched on yesterday as well, just detailing your role or responsibilities. And it's, like you said, it's really okay to say that you worked in a team and you did this, certain section or something. Yeah, this is just another one I had kind of like saved on one of my Behance mood boards, which I just thought was quite nice. Again, really clean. But don't, for anyone who maybe isn't like in graphic design or UI design, it's not, your case studies don't have to look beautiful. They just have to tell that story of what it is that you've done.
Yeah,
and you can do that in any way.
That animation. I
was like, wow.
The animation of the dark mode to light mode.
Clever.
Yeah, that was incredible. And yeah, totally agree. We have a really great question from Budaval. So what sort of things are you keeping in mind as you move forward with the low fidelity wireframing?
So I'm trying to keep in mind using a really good balance of imagery and text. So I don't want any of my case studies to be just too text heavy, because I think that it can sometimes be off-putting for some people. They don't want to read loads of things. They want the snippets. So it's quite important to also edit that story that you're telling. You don't need to give them the full, I don't need to use the full research report. I just need to be like, okay, what did I find out from the research? What were the sort of the key highlights or key takeaways?
Right.
So just trying to keep it at a digestible amount of information, good balance of text and visual, so giving everything space to breathe. Balance. I think that's what I keep in mind.
Balance. And there are other and you do have the structure kind of established with we kind of plotted that out. So now it's really about the visual hierarchy of telling the story and kind of knowing what assets you have and don't have. And this is the balance game, really. This is the balancing act of putting together that story, and B, the actual full case study of what you're doing. So it's essentially like a large like presentation, right? Like a case study, right? And you have to think of it like people are going to pay attention to the things that really, grab them, whether it be visually or maybe that point that you made and how you showcase that. And so it's not an easy thing to do, which is why a lot of designers put it off for so long. Right? Like every designer wants to go back to their portfolio.
Yeah, I've put off redoing my portfolio for over a year now, because I haven't necessarily needed to do it. There's normally that kind of rush whenever you're, I don't know, maybe you're interviewing or something like that, or somebody asks to see your portfolio and you're like, oh, when's the last time I put anything in there?
You're like, ooh, what year was that
Yeah.
project from? What technology has changed? That's a couple of mine that I've had to redo. I'm like, that technology is just it was like it's not really used that well like that anymore, or it's maybe it's a more the thought piece. And I'm like, that exists. Like this is no longer a thought piece. This is like,
Yeah.
but yeah. Hello, hello, Stony. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you again for joining us today. We're just having a nice little session, getting through some beautiful designs. You know what? Something I really loved about your XD file is that you're very well organized. I have always just really enjoyed a nice, thoughtful process. Everything's like, so and there's obviously there's things to help you, but like it's very peaceful. I've noticed in your XD files.
Oh yeah. I'm a team name your layers. Hashtag team name your layers.
Name your layers.
That's where I'm at. I can't do the messy file and clicking on things or looking at a layer
Oh
panel
man.
and it's just rectangle 365. I'm just like, I don't know what rectangle that is. It means nothing for me.
Yeah. That's kind of my files are a little bit. I'm like halfway. I would say a half. Of course, team name your files, name your layers, but sometimes you've just gotta, for me, the creative process is messy and I get like, and then there's that other, you have another file that everything gets nice and clean in. But man,
Mm.
I just love that your working file is so clean.
Oh. Yeah, just kind of playing with how I can maybe lead the reader down the page comfortably. I have a few case studies in mind and ready. Yeah, just
If
maybe
you're using
kind of.
the layout grid.
Yeah. So that's down in the inspector panel. For anybody who's not familiar with it, you can just click on your artboard name and you get this little grid section in the inspector panel. And I use the layout, which is what these kind of aqua stripes are. You can change that if you don't like that color. You want to change it to red, orange, pink. And there's also a square pixel grid, which if I zoom in, you'll see a lot better. I find that's helpful for doing mobile design, but a bit too much for me when I do web design.
It's a little too small. Yeah, I've talked about how we need to have a live stream where it's just math, all the math associated with designing and designing on grids, and just a small math tutorial you never knew you needed.
Amazing.
All right. And at this point in your process, are you do you typically write out your copy prior, or do you kind of just like fill and then go and revisit later?
A little bit of both. There are projects where I've definitely got the sections and I've kind of created them naturally throughout the project lifespan. And others where maybe I haven't documented it because it's been more conversational or from workshops. So I need to go back and collect photos or look at emails or messages. Maybe just kind of copy paste snippets across and do some creative writing, which is definitely the part I struggle with.
It's definitely a skill into itself. Kevin has a great question in the chat around redesigning, adding redesigns of companies maybe that you didn't work with. Maybe it's more of like an example or kind of what you want to see better about a company, like maybe like you redesign Netflix. Kind of what are your thoughts? And Kevin's asking, do you need permission? So this is a good question. Like this, where does this fall under with the redesign of a company maybe you're not associated with?
Yeah, so there's there's definitely sort of um, creative licensing sort of involved with this type of process.
Mhm.
So I encourage everybody to look up the Creative Commons license, which is basically that things on the internet you can kind of obviously like use an image from Netflix as long as you're not claiming it as your own or redistributing it or anything. For a personal project or for educational purposes, you can definitely take a website and redesign it. One of the projects I have actually to show is one exactly like that. I
Oh,
redesigned a
perfect.
company website as a challenge. Um, it could be that you've spotted something in Netflix that you think you didn't enjoy as much. Maybe the experience wasn't how you'd imagined, and you've designed it to work in a different way. And that's totally fine. You just call it out in the beginning to say this was a personal project or a passion project. It wasn't a contracted piece of work or anything like that. Um, and put a little disclaimer. And yeah, you're pretty much kind of safe to go with that. So definitely, yeah, look up the Creative Commons license. Um, so will help put any thoughts at ease.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's great that we're going to kind of see an example a little bit later as well for that, because that is that's very common around in portfolios nowadays is yeah, challenging yourself to redesign something that already exists or all right. Actually, we're having a little bit of a technical difficulty, so we're going to be right back with the stream. All right, guys. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Sorry about the little pause, but we are back with Fergie, and everything is going great. We're just going to keep on keeping on.
Yeah, these things happen. It's okay.
So right now Fergie is redesigning or kind of putting her adjustments to her own personal site. Right now, we're working on a specific case study that we're going to showcase. And what do you think is going to go? What are you thinking about the project that will be showcased here?
So I'm thinking in my mind, okay, what assets have I got for each? Because they're all quite a bit different. So with that in mind, trying to put something together that's flexible, that I can kind of adjust as we go through creating multiples of these. And to give you all a bit of an idea, I have a couple of them here in XD. So this one here for Rolex, this is literally an example of what Kevin was just asking in the chats about redesigning, a company website. So I had taken this watch page that I thought wasn't very exciting and could be more exciting, and just kind of recreated that. And I'll just put a little disclaimer kind of at the end to say that, I don't own these images. This content is from the Rolex website. This was not a paid piece of work. And it's, I've never had any issues with that.
I love that.
So that's probably an example of a project where I don't have a lot for it. So when I kind of go through answering my little prompts, I have bits and pieces here. So because it was a design challenge, there's less of the research, less of the testing. It was more about how might that customer feel, what type of person might they be, what would they maybe relate to more.
Yeah, it's a really cool redesign. Definitely captures a feeling more than the previous. So, and we talked about it. We had a quote from yesterday, and it was, "It's okay for you to want something to be better." That was you, Fergie. And it was really it really stuck with me. I was like, yeah, it's okay to want something better. So if you're looking at a site and you're like, I want to redo this, do it. Just go and do it. Add it to your portfolio. Say that it's not, you're not associated with the brand. There's obviously there's obviously rules around certain places and utilizing it and monetary things. But, if you just want to redesign something, that's like the first thing. Design's a craft before anything else. So it's kind of how every designer gets started. It's just, I'm going to redesign this. I want to make this better.
Yes, exactly. And then I also have like a branding piece. A friend of mine started a business, did her own kind of little logo online, but then wanted something that better represented her and what she was creating. So, this is not just for UX designers. I'm trying to show the little angles, so no matter what type of designers we have watching, hopefully they can take away little things.
Very cool.
Some of those prompts are, a little bit different. So I'm probably going to start taking a few bits of content over.
A little preview. That's a little preview for us.
Yeah, it was one of those long artboards I'd put together, thinking, I need to put this up on Behance. I need to make it a project, and that's typically how I create my Behance projects, is in XD as well, and then just exporting like different sections.
Right.
Yeah. And I have a few more bits of inspiration in here that has come from my Pinterest board. And I love Pinterest for getting inspired.
Yes, love it. Pinterest is great for inspiration. Chat, if you have any other places you grab inspiration from, please let us know. I feel like this is always something that like we can always learn more and how to find more and where do you get inspired and where do you get pieces. Pinterest is great. Obviously, they got it narrowed down. They know what we like.
They do. They definitely do. So I just kind of pinned a few things. The
palette you're going with is very kind of like what you're wearing, actually.
Yeah, a little bit. My palette's actually it's changed. It's got a bit brighter. I'll let you all see my brand in a minute. But these ones just had kind of kind of not assets, but components. No, it's not even the word I want. They'll have like elements that I enjoyed looking at, like this kind of funny blob shapes, just to make it a bit different. Yeah.
I love the illustrations in it, but the blobs are fun, and like the light pink on the blue. They all have the same similar feeling, which is very, very approachable, very kind of like soft,
Mm.
very
It's kind of
clean
just
at the
they'll,
same time.
yeah, they'll have quite different image treatment as well.
Mhm.
And I love this one where they've kind of got a bit of a tilted mock-up and using again the use of shape. I think is quite interesting, and they've quite clearly done some sort of summary for what it is that they're saying. There's not huge blocks
Mhm.
of text, which is what I am aspiring to do. We'll
Right.
see. Yeah, this one I liked these three like kind of almost like bullet points across the
Yeah.
top. I thought that was really cool and really fun way of using color and icons that we could use for saying, okay, this was a client project. My role was UX UI designer, and it took 2 months. Just kind of
Mhm.
giving across those like real key snippets of information.
Right. Mhm.
Kind of cool.
Love it. Cool font. Are we going with that font? That company font?
It's something that I've got a demo of. It's called
Mm.
Roxborough.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I just thought, yeah, it's kind of interesting that
No,
it's
I love it. I think it's
it's a serif but
very,
not a serif.
hmm I think it really works with it's very on point for right now. A lot of people are using the serify, non-serif, like fancy but modern.
Yeah. Like you can just copy that style across. So I've literally just done a Command C and then a Command Option V, so that I don't have to go find it in my fonts list, because I think like everybody, I have loads of fonts and probably only use about 10 of them.
Right. No, exactly. Absolutely. There's about too many out there.
Do you have a favorite font at the moment?
I don't. I feel like they're all there. I feel like if I get a favorite font, I really end up overusing it. So I'm trying to not utilize the same font over and over again. But I have some favorites. I've always been more of a sans serif, modern gal. But yeah, but that let me see, what are my favorites right now? I go to the font. Oh, I guess the question
What's your
is for what do I like my font for, right? Like, so if everyone has their favorites, like beautiful, like artistically rendered fonts that you can use for like one word, right? That is more of like the brand. And I like the, let's see, there's one, you go to the Adobe font, there's a font during their font packs, they do their font packs. I just love when they has that retro feel and vibe, like that 60s, almost could feel like it's up on a printed poster type vibe. Um, so like those are the vibe right now that I think I really appreciate in fonts. I think in terms of using for UX, I mean, there's a lot of the same looking font, obviously, like Poppins and um, you know, some type of Gothic font is always gonna like be better, but I think it's hard to start talking about fonts and not get like emotionally invested in the font discussion. Oh my gosh, because it's just there's so many and you use so many and you don't want to reuse and you want to experiment but at the end of the day, there are ones that work better for what you need them to work for. So if it needs to be clear and concise, um, we have the ones that we want. We have the ones that work. If We want it to be beautiful and artistically rendered, and that's when you can have fun, but that doesn't happen as often.
I'd love to know what the,
But where are we
folks in the
right
chat
now?
think.
Yeah, what's everyone's favorite font in the chat? Poppins. Kevin says Poppin. Poppin's a big one around here with XD. Just because Howard Pinsky uses it a lot. And always in always in some sort of case or demo or work. We're plugging away. We've already brought in elements. What's happening?
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to ask you a little bit. I asked you a little bit about this yesterday, but I know branding is a big part of what you do as well. And that question I wanted to ask was like, how tied is branding to a UX and a UI design? And as a UX and UI designer, how much should we be aware of a brand that you're working with in their actual UX and UI work? Like, how do you just kind of open discussion about how do you think those two tie in as you're creating and making a product?
Yeah, I think a brand is actually really important in UI design and UX design, because if a brand is, you know, quite, if we think of, I don't think of banking can be seen as quite serious, you know, it has to be really secure and trusting. So the branding has to, and the interface has to kind of reassure the users that all of their data is safe, and you know that their money is safe if they're using an app to do any transfers and things like that. And then with other brands that are maybe more modern, you can be a bit more playful, even down to kind of micro interactions, the way something might have like a slight animation on the screen, or the way something might slightly bounce up or kind of pop open. Those really minute kind of details, I would say definitely come from the brand,
Right.
like tone of voice.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. It can inform a lot if you let it, while creating the UX and the UI elements. We're getting a lot of people in the chat telling you to save, and I think they're getting a little nervous.
Thanks, people. Yeah, that's like the one thing with cloud documents. I love that it just does that for you. I'm not a cloud doc right now, so.
And I know we've probably done this already, but just making sure we have and people are going to ask this. So what is that typeface you're working with, both body and
so body copy is just Open Sans, because I think it's just really clean, really clear to read. And then this one is actually something that I just have a demo of because I'm thinking of purchasing it, but I wanted to make sure it looks right first. And it's called Roxborough. Yeah.
I'm sure someone in the chat will find that link very shortly.
From
beauty of the chat. Yeah, Laura's telling us a story in the chat about how the project worked on a project for 3 hours and a local file finished, closed it. When it asked me to save or not, I clicked don't save. Oh no. Worst. 3 hours of work. And has no idea why their brain made them click don't save. You know, you're not the first, Laura. You're not the first person whose brain has tricked them or has messed with them after 3 hours of intense design work. Condolences, obviously, but but you're not the first, and so don't feel too bad. I'm so sorry for your work, though. Yeah, that's the beauty of the cloud now. I've like forgot that muscle that I used to flex constantly, which is go save, go save. something that like future designers will never, barely ever have to worry about, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. Mm.
I love that. I love the element of the kind of the little text boxes up there.
Yeah. So this client's actually a friend of mine, and she'd literally like WhatsApped me like, "Hey, oh my gosh, I want to do a new brand, a new logo. Will you do it?" So, of course. So it's just a little homage to that.
It's very nice of you. I feel like a lot of friends were like, "What do you do? Oh, great. Can you redo my website?" I mean, like, yes, I can. The question is, will I? It's a big undertaking for people, you know, but it's also how like everybody gets started.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
We've all got that t-shirt, right? We've all
Mm-hmm.
been there, done that. It's like a rite of passage almost. Don't really like how this just cuts off and is in the way, so I think I'm gonna edit that out in a minute. But I'm
I
sort of
almost wish
like,
there was like a maybe there could be like a phone image you overlay so it kind of bleeds into the next section. Like almost like because
yeah,
there's something about the phone cutting off. Yeah, I agree.
honestly. But I quite like the way that like this example
Mm,
kind of blurry because it's like a screenshot, but I like how they sort of alternate side to side the images
mm.
and the text. I think quite a few of them do that. And just to kind of keep your eye moving down the page. But what I also want to do is make my artboard this really nice pale grey instead of just the white.
Ludoval says she gets in a different way. You're an illustrator, Ludoval, so it's a little bit different. We're asked to make websites, and she's asked to design a tattoo. That's terrifying.
Ooh,
That is way more.
wow.
We can always take down a website or redo it, but a tattoo, oof.
Yeah, wow. Good on you though, gosh. Okay, I'm actually just going to edit this image in Photoshop,
Oh, there you go.
which is just a magic little right click. I just want to take out some sections of this.
Mhm. I love that. Actually, Annika, I think it's a friend of yours, Annika. Did I say that right?
And I go, yeah.
Asked a question, great question about speaking of free work. How do you tackle that in a design career? What's the best way to say no? We talked about this a little bit yesterday, and I loved it actually. It's the best how to say no was I think the topic.
Yeah, I think it's just, you know, people that ask you to do things for free don't necessarily understand the time and energy that it takes for you to create something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just really important to make it clear, like, you know, say to them, hey, I'd love to do this for you, but I don't have the means and the luxury to be able to do this for free, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
it's totally okay to say no and just say, well, maybe you can come to, you know, if they don't have a budget to pay you or something, then perhaps you can come to some sort of agreement. So depending on
Mm-hmm.
who the friend is and what they do, you know, is it some sort of skill swap that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you think you could also get something out of? Um, I've definitely done that with another friend of mine who's a life coach. She needed some
Mm-hmm.
help setting up her website. And in return gave me some, you know, did some coaching sessions with me, which to me I was like, okay, you know, that's we both see the value in each other's work.
I love that.
So
Yeah. A skill swap I think is a great, that's great, being able to kind of swap and barter, um barter generally. It's a great way. Norse says best way to say no. No, there's also that method, just
yeah,
saying no.
just say no.
Actually, somebody yesterday asked about clients. I don't know if I mean I work with a lot of clients too, and I don't think I'd ever use it necessarily this word, but I get the vibe, and it was all around clients who are toxic. And I don't really think they, yeah, I think it's a harsh of a word for clients, but I get the idea. Maybe where clients seem more less compatible. Less compatible clients maybe is a better way to phrase that. Do you have any thoughts around that, or working with people like that?
Yeah, so I know what you mean about that word toxic. It feels quite harsh.
Yeah.
I know. I think that when you're engaging with any new client, it's always great to do a little, as I call it, maybe like a discovery call to like get to know each other and understand what each other's about, to know if you would be a good fit working together. It's really important to understand, know your own limits, know what you are and are not comfortable with, and just go with that. Don't feel like you have to do everything that comes across your desk, type thing.
Yeah, it's it's not about maybe the word. Yeah, the word is harsh. So, but it happens, and it's about understanding where your limits are. And I love that you said that, because that's kind of, and that's essentially what you learn with more designing, with more getting in there and working with people. So you could tell. I remember seeing a comment yesterday, and I saw the word again today in the chat, but hard. It's a harsh word, but I get the vibe. It's when things are hard with clients.
Yeah, definitely. Just doing a little edit here to try and get this.
Yeah. Go ahead and do that edit.
So
I'll just remind.
pixelated.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'll just take a minute and say hello to anybody who's just joining us. We're here with Fergie, a UX designer based in London, and we are creating and designing a personal portfolio site, actually her portfolio site. And we're talking about clients because and the process, and we're here to answer any questions. So let us know if you have any. Let us know where you're joining from. It's okay if you're late. I see Basmala says, sorry, I'm late. Don't be sorry. You're right on time. This is ongoing. We'll be here another hour. In about, let's see, towards the end of the hour, we're going to be spotlighting an artist. We're really excited about it. So make sure to tune in for that spotlight. And if you know any artists that you would love to see up on the stream, let us know. Go to the artist spotlight tab right above the chat, and you can submit and fill out a form, submit someone, and yeah, spread some love around. It's really what we're trying to do here. Cool. I love this vibe that this client of your friend who you did work for here is bringing. Trying to, it's very, I feel like there should be some crystals somewhere on the page as well.
Oh yes. There's definitely going to be a few of those further down.
Those are cute.
Like spiritual wellness.
Spiritual wellness. Is this imagery that you took or you found, or is your client's?
This is actually just a stock image that I quickly got online that I felt kind of fit the mood and the color scheme.
Nice. Where do you typically find your stock image or any imagery that you use?
I love obviously the depending on if you have credits or free things or not. There's obviously Adobe Stock, which has thousands and thousands of free assets, images, and everything else. And I don't think it's as well known. I think people don't realize that there's so much free stock available there. So I'd always encourage everybody to check that out. I also really like Unsplash. This one might be from Unsplash. Pexels.
It's a
Pixels
great
is a cool
spot.
one.
Yeah,
You can get video
great.
and pictures.
Yeah,
All
more
sorts.
video. We need more video in our websites, in our life. Very cool. So Adobe stock, Pexels, so many places to find some really unique and interesting looking stock imagery, and that you should never be without. Or you can make friends with a photographer. That's what I do. Try to keep those very close.
That's cool.
Very cool. Nice. And I love that you're using like this is how easy it is to kind of work in XD and transition into Photoshop. Really, you're just a click away. It's all within the same ecosystem. Something really lovely and cathartic about that for me when I need to do things in XD.
Oh, I think it's great. It's something I love doing. So kind of taking the background here. It's not the best job, so I'll probably revisit it. But all I have to do is press save. And then if we go back to XD, you can see it's cut out and done everything I needed it to do. So happy days. Don't have to, re-add to the image or tell it to update. It just kind of knows.
Yeah.
It's watching. It always knows.
Very cool. You've eliminated that phone.
Yeah, I just felt like it was in the way.
Yeah. Oh, I love the discussion happening, Norsha. Inspiration used, where to find inspiration. And great. I mean, we obviously saw you pull up images from Behance. So we use Behance. You also use Pinterest, which is a great spot to gather all your mood boarding. We have Dribble and UpLabs. Please chat. Let us know all of the secrets that you hold as well. But I'll ask Fergie, what else do you go for your inspiration?
Trying to think of any that you haven't listed off. I think covered
yeah,
a lot of what I go to. All of the platforms. I think I really enjoy Behance and Pinterest the most in terms of getting inspiration. And Instagram's a new one for me. I think a lot of creators have started posting their work on Instagram, which is really cool.
True. It's very true. There are a lot of UX designers and designers, period, showcasing work, and awesome to see kind of this like new world of design influencer of sorts. I kind of love it.
Yeah. It's about time we got some space, right? In the influencer
Exactly. I don't know if you use TikTok at all, but they're definitely on there as well.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of TikTok sounds and music that live in my head rent free and pop up at all the wrong moments.
I have no shame. I have no shame about saying that I go on there, and none. My favorite is every time they say anything about millennials on TikTok, I'm like completely like, that's exactly what I'm like. It's very triggering every time they make fun of millennials on TikTok.
Yeah, I'm just like, they're just jealous. It's okay. We know.
We had the 90s. We know. Exactly. Another thing actually I bring up a lot I talk to other designers or just people starting out in general, who are very intimidated by the design industry. I try to remind them that this is still, design has been around, but digital designer, UX designer, experience design work, new. Not new, but it's still getting its footing as an industry in a way. And that's like the beautiful part of kind of jumping in right now. And I try to use that as a way to kind of calm down all of the people that are really intimidated, all the young designers that are very intimidated by the industry. It's like, this hasn't been around forever. It's evolving with us.
Yeah, exactly. You're so right. It's really very new. Like when I first started out as a UXer, it was so new. I think that was when it was really kind of just becoming a thing, or had just become a thing. Because before it was called UX, it was more focused on human-computer interaction, and it was a bit more technical. There's a lot of science and psychology behind it, whereas UX is obviously a lot more creatively and design driven.
Absolutely. And you did a shift, and you work with a lot of people who are doing that career shift. And what do you think is like the number one kind of what's the number one like fear people have coming into it, or maybe some the advice you give the most people doing that career shift?
A lot of people are worried about having, the art skill, being able to pick a beautiful color palette, and those kind of aspects of it. Whereas, there's so much more to UX, because we focus on the usability, the research, the really understanding how things work and how it fits into people's daily lives. It's not, there's that huge kind of misconception and confusion between UX and UI, and does one person do both? Do you pick? And the choice is yours. Everybody is different and has different interests, and it can vary depending on companies that you go to. But that was sort of the biggest thing from working with career changers, that they were worried about, that they wouldn't be able to design a beautiful screen just at the drop of a hat, and understanding that there's a lot more to it than that.
Right. It's true. It's very true. It's really interesting. It's really interesting how the industry has evolved, and the skills that are being kind of prioritized, and with a UX designer versus a UI designer versus a graphic designer versus a visual designer, or an interaction designer, right? So we get really these titles definitely fly around and are do essentially different things, but I wonder about that. I wonder about like how it will change and what skills will kind of carry us into the next phase of it all, because it did start very very cognitive science driven, or very, actually it started because there was a lack of human touch upon these products and services, right? And so it'll be interesting, especially as people get better at visual design, as visual designers get really awesome at UI work. There's always going to be a change in industry and how we work. So it's going to be interesting to see what skills kind of continue to carry us.
Yeah, I think there's so much more to it, and there's new skills and role titles, and like you say, coming out all the time. There's I think one of the latest ones is like UX writer.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's that? It's kind of like being a copywriter, but purely for wording on app screens.
On like, I think the same thing. I was like, what exactly do you write? I mean, I know personally, I think I need one. I'm always like, definitely a role that's needed. Do I know exactly what that role does? Not exactly. How that has evolved how it's evolved into its own thing. It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Looking really, oh my gosh, I didn't even see the crystals before. I was right. I was right to think up with this.
They have arrived.
I love it.
It's just display like brand colors in a really sort of fun way. I love drawing up like the little swatch, like Pantone kind of chip things, but it's kind of not as interesting all the time.
I love that. These are really sweet.
I think these were Adobe stock actually, illustrations, and I just edited things together. So they were all like suns and moons and stars. I was like, no, I need crystals.
I think it's right on the money with the brand, and I love that it's a different way to showcase color palette. Everybody's seen the squares. Not a big crystal. I don't have a lot of crystals. Do you have any crystals?
I do.
You do?
Actually, from this friend.
Nice.
she gave me a couple. I have a that's why I'm going to forget all the names that she taught me. I have a rose quartz that I keep on my bedside table, and I have a obsidian or a black. Oh, a black one.
Okay.
I should be so disappointed that I don't remember the name.
I don't want to have to. Yeah, I don't want to call you out. You have them.
It's fine.
And it's great. Voodoo Val's has a crystal collection. It's people have them now. It's a thing. I hear the rose quartz is a good one though. I know that much from my adventures on TikTok.
I think it's nice. Yeah, I have to have an amethyst as well. I'm gonna reach up here onto my bookcase. I have this one that I never remember. Chrysoprase, something I picked up in Bali, and it's like shaped like a little Buddha statue. That's watching over me, looking after me.
I love it. That's the beauty of working with so many different types of people, right, in industry. And like you doing your friend's site about her personal brand, you get to learn a little bit about this area. You get to kind of dive in a little bit. We talked a little bit about like the beauty of working with a range of clients versus like staying in-house on a product team. So working as a consultant over just kind of staying on one team, and how that's, really calls to some designers and how others really, it's like too much. Oh my gosh, is everyone in the chat talking about their birthstones? This is going to be, this I love.
Amazing.
Everybody look it up, look up your birthstone and let us know.
I'm a diamond, I know that one.
When's your birthday?
April is a diamond. April?
Okay, diamond. That's awesome. Yes. Get a diamond. Let's see. I think mine is not as interesting. What is mine? I'm June. If anyone knows right off the bat. I think it's girl, I want to say. Nice. Or how can we find our birthstone? I think you just Google it. Let's see. Voodoo Val's a sapphire. Oh,
pretty.
Mayor is also a diamond.
April, Aries babies.
Let's see. Love it, love it, love it. And so this is, so her product specifically, it's all around kind of health and wellness. With this case study, you're showcasing the brand essentially. So it's like, this is a great way to great moment to kind of ask like, so if you're showcasing a brand, so what are these elements that you definitely are putting forward in your portfolio?
Yeah, so I think sort of as we saw with one of the examples earlier, sort of making the case studies fit whatever the project is, kind of make that your vibe. Don't feel like you have to be super strict to your own brand or your own color palette and things like that, because by using the right kind of imagery, it puts across the whole feeling, especially when it's something like a branding project. It is quite emotive. So I'm looking more for images and colors that were involved in this branding process. It started out There's a picture of my iPad here, which we took to our like first kind of meeting when we had coffee to set out. Okay, what do you think you want? She's like, well, pinks and golds and this and sacred geometry and celestial iconography and things like that. So sketch that all down and make little swatches. So just kind of taking the view on that journey, but using, this image doesn't necessarily reflect my brand. It's a bit of a softer lifestyle type brand, I guess. I mean, it's something I feel like a blogger or something someone would use. I don't know. Just kind of taking that through and bringing those pastel colors down, because I've already shown them in the imagery that we've started from, and because some inspiration came from the lotus flower, the soft pink of that and the yellow, I'll just put little touches of that in, even though that's not the brand colors. I'm sort of bringing the brand to life more with the style of illustration and the different assets and elements that I'm using. I'm not trying to keep myself in a box. I'm just trying to do something more expressive with it being a brand project.
Yeah. And then this is the established logo underneath.
Yeah, it's kind of what we went with. So she wanted something that was quite a strong, bold name, but then to have a really recognizable icon with that. So we have this kind of lotus flower third eye thing kind of happening.
Love that. I love that little piece up top. That's great. Yeah, lovely. Very, very speaking to, it's definitely of a certain type of brand quality. There is something that is definitely carrying through that keeps consistent with her, kind of what she's doing. Very relaxed, very, using the purples. Purple's very kind of always geared a little bit more towards like health and wellness. Yeah, it looks great. Annika asks an interesting question that kind of like is, it's great. I love it, but we're really taking a turn with it. Curious, have you ever been in situations where you had to fire clients, both Alexis and Fergie? I feel like the chat is very trying to like knock us off this very Zen pedestal we're on concept, which, yin and yang, we love it. We love a back and forth, but has that ever, I'll let you think about that for a second. You want to answer it all?
Find a client?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever run into that per se, personally. I think it has a lot to do with how you what you were talking about early on, which is like understanding up front if whoever you're working with, you understand that you're both right for each other, and understanding that very early on is important. Kind of eliminates the need to fire by the end, right? So Voodoo Val has, which go girl. Yes. If you want to chime into the chat there, that's and obviously totally fine if you're totally fine to be curious about it. And I'm sure Fergie, if you want to give your 2 cents about it, if you have any of that experience before, if you feel okay with that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, there's definitely, I've definitely had difficult clients. I mean, who hasn't? I don't think I've ever fired a client, and I think it's because I'm with my personal projects really careful to start with as to who I agree to work with.
Right.
Sorry, I'm like, why am I getting pictures of turtles? I'm searching for crystals.
No, but I love
Something's broken here. What happened to Adobe Sensei? Where am I? Yeah, I mean, there's been times when projects haven't gone in the direction that was perhaps like expected, and it's just about being okay with having that type of conversation. So being able to go to to a previous client and explained to them like, hey, this thing you wanted to create for your customers, it's not what they want. So like, don't do it. And just getting them on board with that. And actually, in that occasion, they were really happy because it saved them a lot of their budget, and they used it for something else.
Right. Right. So you just like assessed what they were doing and were like, you know what, this isn't going to work for me, but also it might not work for you. So, exactly. I mean, that's way more valuable than anything else, to be fair. So you just spun that into a good tale. went from somewhere dark to somewhere very light and wonderful. So I like that. I like that for you. Yeah, everyone's giving some really good some stories. Norse was a PM in a past job and recommended, fire. That's actually I love that, you brought up your PM, is that when it comes to working with clients, it's hard when it's, obviously a lot of people who are doing freelance, it's kind of just you and the client. And I think like that's probably the hardest thing, is that there should be some type of middleman, even if it's through technology, keeping a little bit of distance, direct, being open and transparent about work, but giving distance to be able to have your thoughts and have your creative time. And it's hard to work and be creative with someone kind of like right in your space all the time. So I know that that's definitely a issue with a lot of people and their clients, is like, they wanted it bigger. They kept asking me to make the logo larger, and constantly going back for revisions. And it's easier when you have that either, a PM or some type of like in between, whether it's time or distance or email or whatnot. Having a good middleman is, I think, a great way to keep yourself and your creative space safe, which is why PMs exist, to be truly honest.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. I kind of loved how that evolved. This header evolved. It just went from like a bunch of there's a phone, there was a plant, and like now it's just the cards, and I love just the cards.
Yeah, I was just feeling a bit fussy. Even though I just found this other image, I think it would also just be too much going on. It would detract from what I'm trying to do. But it's there. Might want it later. Yeah. So I mean, for this brand, I think I've kind of put on a lot of the elements that I had ready. So this, again, it's an example of it's a brand, so it doesn't necessarily follow that secret sauce that I had yesterday, because that was quite structured in like a UX way. But I have a little introduction about who the Trove are, what they do. It's all about wellness, and it was actually a platform for these kind of events. So guides or coaches or people in that space could use the Trove as platform to reach out to their audience. It was almost like an Eventbrite, but for spiritual wellness in London. It's kind of what I compare it to. So giving them that little intro, saying kind of what the brief is. So, introducing the fact that my friend, the founder of the company, wanted a professional logo done, and explaining a bit about what she needed it to be like. And as I mentioned, we've kind of had this in a WhatsApp chat, so I've got my little SMS bubbles over here.
Yeah, I love that.
Continuing the journey through to like the initial mood boarding and some experiments with fonts. So it was actually quite nice that Rachel had quite a good sort of vision of what she thought she might have wanted, and she wanted this contrast of script or decorative font with something non-script and serif. So showing her a few things, I thought, you know what, it's not quite marrying up, and this, this is why, have a look, which is a really important part of working with a client, is showing them and taking them on the journey with you, not just kind of going off and doing the work and coming back to them. I think that's maybe why I've never fired a client, because I always try and keep them quite close to what we're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then just explaining sort of things we've explored, like the logo elements, color palette, and then showing what that final thing looks like, putting it into a business card mockup.
Very cool.
Mockups are always another great thing to use. So yeah, that's one case study down.
Very cool. Easy. You made it look very easy. Where do you normally do you create your own mockups, or is there a place that you usually kind of like use? Or I know there's a lot of really cool programs out there that will kind of impose your screens now.
Yeah, I need to try a new program. I haven't tried any of them. I sometimes will do my own. So if I've designed an app, I'll put it onto my phone with like the XD preview, and then put it in situ and take pictures with my camera, or just use mockups, a bit like this one in Photoshop, where it's just super easy. It's all labeled. I just have to replace one layer. So I'll just export my XD artboard, replace the layer, and it does it for me within seconds, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And we'll do a few of these. These are templates from Adobe Stock.
Adobe Stock. It also has mockups.
Yeah.
Got it all.
Yes. Free mockups as well. That's going to emphasize that, because I think people don't realize how much on Stock is actually free.
Yeah, it's hard to find good mockups. So Adobe, no, don't sleep on the Adobe, whatever Adobe has to offer.
All right, so that was my first one.
So we're on to the next.
So I also have too many screens, too many windows. Collected a few things together as examples. So actually, let me show you what GoodHood is. GoodHood was another Adobe Creative Jam that I took part in last year with a colleague of mine. So this is an example where it's a challenge. It's not a client, and it is for UX and UI design. So again, different to the branding. So I have different types of things to include in it. I have my kind of sketchbook sketches that as you can see, I've literally just had it on my desk, taken a picture. Okay, I've done a little bit of a thing with the keyboard and the mouse and the pen, just to make it a little bit more visually interesting, but also I can crop that out if I decide I don't need that later, if it's too much. We also used the XD whiteboard plugin. So we collabed in a document together for 2-3 days. So we did all our brainstorming. So I've got this like brainstorming affinity mapped to show sort of how we made the decisions that we made about what we were going to create. Early wireframes and ideas that we were putting together, and all of this is through the co-editing. We didn't have a lot of Zoom meetings. We didn't need to. We're both in our own homes, because this was obviously it's happened last year, so it was in the lockdown situation.
Right.
Yeah, that's
nice.
This is the cleaner part of the XD document. Just
Very cool.
Screenshot. You don't always have to use fancy mockups. Seeing something like this and seeing it in its kind of like true state is also just really interesting to show people, and also much quicker to take a screenshot than export all of these, put it into a mockup.
Yeah, there's something wonderful about kind of just showing process in that, especially now that everything's been online for about a year. Everyone's process is able to be captured with the screen grab, right? no longer the days where you need to take a shot at the whiteboard and kind of have to get the light right when you can just, this is where we're working.
Exactly.
Very cool.
And then, I mean, yeah, I did do a few sort of mock-ups for our little final submission. We put a few, you know, few of these things together. And then I just have a plain text document with what we'd written up at the time, a bit of an abstract, a bit of an about, a prototype link, things like that, that can go into my case study. So that's an example of a competition one, so you know, not a client. I have another project here called Fortuna, which was I think I did everything for this project. So it started out as a branding project for, it was a bit of a course I was taking just to learn a bit more about the whole branding process and sort of how it, you know, how it's modernized a bit more now compared to maybe a few years ago, and creating stylescapes and things like that. Stylescapes are like the new mood boards. So this one has a branding, it has some product design, you know, just like putting that branding onto products. What would that look like? And imagining that. Moving on to business cards and such. And then in true UX designer fashion, I was like, hey, let's create a rewards app. So made a little video in XD of what would that look like, you know, if this coffee brand had an app, and they got rewarded for using their own recyclable cup instead of a paper cup and all this kind of thing. So a little bit of everything in this example.
Really neat. So you took the video of the screen capture in UX. Did you do the actual rotation as well? Is like everything fully in?
So you can do. I was struggling with doing this with the 3D transform. So I actually have a piece of software called Rotato. Oh my gosh, I
Rotato.
love it. It's unfortunately, I'm sorry to all the PC users listening, you know, just don't listen for a second. It is only available on Mac at the moment. But it's amazing. You just kind of drop your little video snippet in, or even an image, and it has all these pre-done sort of device mock-ups that you can edit the color of or do whatever you want. You move it around. It's a really simple like drag and drop thing, and then you can just animate it, and it's super quick. That's
great. That's great. What a great way to kind of like overlay those two softwares, right? Like taking that screen capture in XD, awesome, easy, so easy actually, like too easy. We should do it more to kind of show that, but and putting it then into a something like Rotato and just kind of like overlapping those two things. I love that. Like so simple. You know, gone are the days having to do it in After Effects or Premiere.
Yeah. Gosh, I have a lot of respect for anybody working in the motion space, wherever that's film, motion animation, 3D animation.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for those folks. It's
thanks, but they're much needed, and it's very hot right now. So as much as I do have, you know, I do care a great deal, they're getting compensated pretty well. Those guys that's a hot commodity right now. Actually, speaking of hot commodities, we have our artist spotlight coming up pretty soon, but we will come back to your screen, Fergie, at some point. We're only going to be in there maybe 10 minutes, but we have that coming up, so that's going to be awesome. So that's exciting. I want to see all these case studies all together personally. Like I want to see all those. So we'll give our spotlight a little bit of time, and then we'll come back to you. But what's this one? This one's awesome. Look at that.
This was me geeking out with creating my own little finance app. So So it was concept is that you could put all of your bank cards and all of your bank accounts into one app. I don't know if it's in the US, but we have something in Europe called open banking, PSD2, not to be confused with a Photoshop document, PSD, which is, yeah, the banking people don't get my bad joke, sadly. But it means that there are apps coming to market where you can just link all your bank accounts to and you can see everything in one place. So it makes it really amazing for kind of trying to manage all your finances.
Very cool. Very cool. I love the effect you have there with the cards, and I love it kind of with the transparency, transparent background. That's great.
Yeah, I was doing a bit of glass morphism sort of experiment with this one.
What are your thoughts on that trend? On that right now being the kind of hot design trend?
I have to say, it's probably one of the trends I do like. I really disliked new morphism because from a UX point of view, it's so unusable and inaccessible.
Yep.
But glass morphism I like, but it's also, in my kind of view and in my world, not a new thing. Like it's been done and it's been around for a while. It's just having a bit of hype right now. I think it was like Windows Vista or something. I'm trying to remember back to PC days. Like Windows Vista had a kind of glass look on their File Explorer or something.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Throwback.
Yeah, right.
You're right. You're absolutely right. It has been. I completely forgot about Windows Vista.
Yeah.
I guess that's going to be said about most things.
Like,
yeah.
I'm not sure there's such a thing as like new trends and new ideas. Even in fashion, right? It's like all the 80s and 90s is coming back right now, which I love.
The 90s coming back is very triggering. It's freaking me out. It's so freaking me out. 90s. I was like, you know what? I was a very awkward person in the 90s. I was an awkward teenager. Like, we don't need to go back there. But yes, everything is recycled, I think is the point there. Yes, everything comes back around, design-wise, especially. Yeah. And the same can be said with these trends. Yeah. I think it's just about time, though. We're going to start doing our spotlight. Fergie, feel free to, keep picking away and we'll come right back to you. We're also going to check out our spotlight artist. And again, if anybody has anyone that they want to spotlight or they want to spotlight themselves, let us know. There's a artist spotlight tab right above the chat where you can fill out a form and be considered for our next Adobe Live segment. And it's awesome. Cool, awesome. We are showcasing. So here we go. Let's spotlight this artist. All right. Is it Xiao? Xiao? Xiao.
Kaya.
Kaya?
Kaya.
Kaya.
I'm cheating. I know him from the Game Changers Discord server.
Oh, great. Kaya. Great. Portugal, from Portugal. Hello, welcome. You are being spotlit. I love it. We're going to check out your portfolio here. It looks awesome, just kind of right off the bat. I love this kind of, I love that you're very intentional. You have only a couple projects up, but they look very well done from the covers. Thank you for letting us know who you are, what type of work you do. You're also a front-end developer. You're located in Portugal. Great, awesome. You have an email. This is awesome. Okay, this is right up your alley, I think, Fergie. With the we have some fintech here. Nice. Mobile app that shows the index of the best cryptocurrency in the world. Very topical right now. Oh yeah, we're using pop-ins. Very cool, very simple design. This is awesome. Oh, cool, great.
Very clean layout.
Very clean. I like the simplistic forms you're using, right? You're taking a lot of inspo from the other plenty. There's plenty of cryptocurrency tracking and banking apps right now, but I kind of like the simplicity of this one. This is cool. Crypto, man. We all gotta, it's really happening. Who would have thought? All right, let's check out this next one. Triple. Getting out of the paper. This is very cool. I've already, right off the bat, I love the 3D illustration effect that you have here. I love the fact that you have your images that you're using kind of like are keeping in a consistent color kind of palette. Really fun, vibrant colors, using that yellow to be a highlight. So fun. Great, great icons. I don't know if you created those yourself or you found those, but I think it's really fun icon set. Let's see if I can get in a little closer. Here we go. Nice, fun travel app. It's what we all need right now. Very cool. Very cool.
Yep.
Nice. You have your yellow as a call out. This is great. Very fun. Where's the first place you're traveling after everyone's free to travel fully?
Somewhere with tropical temperatures and beach and ocean for me to swim in. Not so fussy, just wherever will take me and allow me entry.
Yep, perfect. Yeah, it looks like Bali would be a good one here.
Yes.
Based on these images. I'd love to go back to Portugal. I went to Portugal a couple summers ago and it was amazing. Ooh, okay, so far we've seen a fintech. This is awesome. Fintech, you have a travel, and you're going into weather. You really run the gamut here, and I think that's really great and smart to kind of do. Ooh, and with the icons, really with the illustrations, really crushing it. Really beautiful looking illustrations you're finding or creating. This is one thing the weather apps need to do. They need to be a little more fun. You know, weather's got to be fun. I like this. Very cool. Let's see if we have every type of app created here. Oh, this is a branding project.
Uses like a like when he has the screen mockups. I like that he's not necessarily putting it on a device as well. You know, and creating that split between who does and doesn't like something based on whether it's iPhone or not. I think that's really clever.
Ooh. This is a full-on branding. Well, there's a little bit of branding going on here with the logo. Really great, kind of showing the diversity of where those logos are used, how they're used. Is there a green background, transparent background? Are we using just an image? Good plants, good price. Perfect. Some good copy. That's great. Yeah. Love it. I think this is a great, if we're showcasing this, the mock-up of the initial home screen or the initial, what you're going to see when you really enter this, a digital experience for this greenhouse. This is really great. You have everything you need, right? Why choose us? Here's your call to actions. You want to look at the plants or do you want to contact them? Really great. I am partial to a plant service, any type of plant delivery, plant buying service. Really, my plants became my children this past year, so great.
It was not so green fingered, sadly. I did have one house plant. It just would not live.
Happens. I'm sure it's also a little bit harder out there with like the temperature and like the sun and so many things that grow in different places as well. Video contact, nice.
It's really detailed. It's really thought through quite a lot of this. Really like everything we were talking about that makes a great case study.
I also love there's always a little acknowledgement at the bottom of all the case studies, like thank you, or this is who I am with the other ones, and this one's got a little little finger pointing up, which is really fun. Yeah, I get the same I get the same kind of feeling throughout all of these case studies, which is there is this element of 3D, lot right here, using it again, a lot of 3D animation elements, which like then kind of lead into your UX. Kind of, we're doing a little bit of, uh, there's a little bit of a shadow. We're kind of like coming out of the screen a little. There's a desire for this to kind of overlap, and this feels like your style, which is awesome. Or you're establishing a style with this for your own self. This little hand is incredible.
It's just so
Great.
fun.
It's so fun. This is the type of stuff that's delightful for me.
Yes.
So we have the user flow, awesome, really well designed user flow, keeping it consistent, using showing your colors. We're using some blues, more like a gradient type of blue, from like a little bit of a darker to lighter. We're showcasing our primary screens, maybe secondary screens. Cool. The main screen, giving us a little bit of a direction of what the screen is and when do you use it. And, I really like the size. I can see everything very clearly. Again, I like, we like that it's not on a phone directly. It's just kind of that,
Yeah.
it's that, I think they're actually showcased very well, these screens. Very clear. Awesome.
Yeah,
Really
he's done
great
the
case
editing
study.
down process really, really well. Like, the whole take away and just give those kind of key points. He's being a very good storyteller.
Very good. Very good. Awesome. Well, let's look at one more and then we're all done. Ooh, this one's a delivery app. Here we go. With more 3D illustrations. Awesome. I love it. They just get better and better. This is why I like to start from the back and go forward. Yeah, this one has to do with food. So this one's going to be
amazing.
Excellent. Look at all these French fries. Oh my gosh.
Love those 3D illustrations with this one look amazing.
So fun. Very fun. Very delightful. Very consistent with your elements used and your kind of theme you're walking through. Very soft round corners. We talked a little bit about, having this kind of having drop shadow elements kind of, or maybe more of a a colored shadow to kind of have it feel like you're almost like on a transparent background of sorts. I love that. There's depth. You're creating some depth for us, but this is great. Awesome. Well, that was awesome. Congratulations. You have been spotlit by the Adobe live stream. We think you're awesome and everybody should check out your work. Go follow. And again, if anybody in the chat, if you want to be highlighted for the next one, let us know and maybe you'll get a nice little spotlight. But why don't we? Ooh. Yeah. So if anybody has anyone they know, I mean, I know it's really intimidating to share yourself, but it's a great way to get noticed. Yeah. Noor says, I want a burger. I know, right? One more time. Oh. Very nice.
Just placing them together.
Yeah, we'll get back on here. Yeah, so everybody go give them a follow. And thank you for dropping the link, Voodoo Val. We can always count on you to drop the links. Dropping them like they're hot.
Amazing.
Cool. So we still have some time to kind of wrap up a little bit with your work here.
Yeah. So I mean, I've sort of shared the structure, which I think is the most important thing, and how I'm starting to add my details in, and how you can edit in Photoshop. That little handy dandy left click, right click even. Don't know the left or my right on the mouse. Right click and then edit in Photoshop. You hit save and straight away it looks how you want it to look. Super helpful. And I know there was a question yesterday around what if you don't want to build a website, Is Behance good enough? And the answer to that is yes. Behance is obviously an amazing platform, so definitely use it to your advantage. You could still come into XD, build your case studies out like this, and I could really easily just take off this like header navigation bar and export this artboard, and it would then be a Behance project. So I just think that's also just another tip. And I know that with Behance, you can also try Adobe Portfolio. So if you do have all of your projects in here, like I have quite a lot, as we've gone through, what Adobe Portfolio will do is take those Behance projects and basically create your portfolio website for you. So you don't have to worry that you don't know how to make a website. So you could do it as a welcome page, which is sort of the concept we had with that homepage with the intro and everything. Or you could do a full portfolio, and they have these awesome templates, and it's kind of as simple as selecting one. So I'm just going to click on this one here, and then saying, okay, I want to use this theme, and it'll go away, take all your projects and sync everything all together for you, and give you a website. So
awesome.
I've not done this before. This is live.
Amazing. So, amazing.
There you go.
Oh wow, and it even like puts in the actual like a little tag or a little link on the side there. Whoa, this is the life hack we all need and we all love. Amazing. That was instant, and it's all of your work that's up on Behance.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So if that's a workflow you prefer, go for it. Use the tools at your disposal. There's no right or wrong way of what your portfolio has to be. When I first graduated, my portfolio was a printed book, the first one.
Wow.
It was so different. And then it was an app. Then I made an app to work in the tech space, because that's the path I wanted to go down. But there's no right or wrong thing that your portfolio has to be. It just has to be something you're happy with and that you can keep up to date, whether that's Behance, whether that's an Adobe Portfolio site, whether that's a slide deck, whether
it's true.
Even an XD prototype. I mean,
absolutely.
If I prototype this up and create a share link, that's it on the cloud, and I can just give that URL to anybody to come and look through this. I don't even need to necessarily build a website to put it somewhere.
That's a really good point.
That's another
really good point.
Sneaky tip.
Yeah, a website is just one format you can use to create that portfolio. But I love, it could be anything. I love that you made an app for one of yours. That's great. It's a great way to showcase yourself as a UX designer.
Very cool. Yeah, that was I had some good feedback on that one, actually, because I was moving into the tech space at that time. So it just made a lot of sense to kind of to do that. And I'd found different software to help me do it. So I think I'd essentially built a website, and this software turned it into an app for me. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow, this has really come together. So this is case study 2 of 3, and it looks great. It really falls in line with the kind of the same structure you had before, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's amazing what happens when you have those elements. People are always like, I have to redo it, and it's like you have all the tools. You've definitely showcased that Fergie for us. Like, when you have the tools, there are plenty of ways. What is this amazing plugin you just used?
This, I love this. This one is called Blobular.
Wow.
So it's basically going to create those awesome trendy blob shapes for you. And you have to use these little sliders to control the complexity and uniqueness of the blob. And I don't think I've ever gotten it to make the same blob twice.
There's a slider for
uniqueness.
Cool. That is,
yeah,
that's incredible. Yeah, no, okay. Well, this is good to know. Thank you for showing us this.
And it just puts it in as a shape, so that I can use, the color picker and take one of the colors from my app image. So yeah, and I could even use it as a mask. So which one have I used? What's that?
Blobular. Yeah, plugins, a plugin for blobs. Yep. They thought of everything, really have. I so wish I'd known this before. I think on one of my streams, I was like, I think I made a blob. I don't know if I made the blob, but I had a pre-made blob.
Yeah.
This is a weird thing to even just say, but I did.
It's a trendy thing to do.
Very trendy.
Yeah. So yeah, you can sort of see with this case study, I had a lot of this stuff ready from, the fact that this is in my Beyonce project. You can just pull in these things. It still tells the same story. It still is showcasing exactly what I've done and how I've done that. It's just, if you get into the habit of using, this kind of formula in the Behance projects as well, then, you're laughing, you're winning, It's about find that structure and formula that works for you, and then try and follow it every time. And then you'll never have to redo an entire portfolio for any reason. More manageable.
Absolutely. Rudy Val asks what our favorite plugins are right at the end too. I love that. What are our favorite plugins, just as we can wrap up this beautiful stream?
Apart from Whiteboard and Globular.
Whiteboard, Globular.
I have a lot.
Some great ones.
You know what? Another fun one, Confetti. I like the Confetti plugin because it literally just makes confetti for you. Or if you're, if you feel a little more inspired, you could make something I did in one of my little projects. Make a pill shape, give it a fun color, use the Confetti plugin. It gives you all kind of controls. So how many is it going to create and whatnot. I think it's the legacy one I prefer, actually. It's not an artboard. Quick. And then it basically will give you this little preview of how many things it's going to create. And you can randomize the colors and everything. But if I run that, it's giving me a random pattern. But I used this on an app design, and these were my sprinkles on a cupcake.
Love it. Confetti. We've created a plugin, every type of plugin here. I love it so much. I just want to say thank you again, Fergie, for joining us on Adobe Live and bringing us through your process here. We've gotten to go through a great amount of gathering inspiration, doing a little bit of front research work about creating this portfolio, your own portfolio. So we're excited to kind of, see it. And everybody, please go add and visit and see what Fergie has and is doing with all of her design works. It's awesome. I just want to say thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for the XD Daily Creative Challenge. It's right after the stream. Adobe Live will be back tomorrow, and we're going to kick off the day with Adobe fonts. Very, very timely. Fergie, we were talking about fonts earlier. That starts at 8 a.m. Pacific. Looking ahead to Friday, Adobe Live will not be streaming on Friday, June 18th, in observance of Juneteenth. And again, Fergie, thank you so much for your time. This was awesome.
Thank you for having me.
I really enjoyed our talk. Chat, you've been awesome. And join us again tomorrow for another Adobe Live. All right, see ya.
Thanks, everybody.